The union representing Boeing machinists has voted to reject the company's latest contract offer, extending a costly weeks-long strike. In a statement, the union wrote in part, quote, "We have made tremendous gains in this agreement in many areas. However, we have not achieved enough to meet our members' demands." CBS News senior transportation correspondent Kris has been covering the strike. Kris, why did the union reject Boeing's latest contract, and what's next?
Well, the members spoke pretty clearly, 64% voting no. Many of the members we talked to specifically said the lack of a pension as part of this deal was the reason for their no vote. Boeing machinists gave up their pension as a concession a decade ago. They want that back. Boeing has said a pension is simply too costly and is not even on the table. What was on the table was a 4-year deal with a 35% pay raise, a $7,000 signing bonus, as well as improvements to the existing health and retirement plan. That's a 401k plan. Members have been asking for a 40% raise. They say they also want some quality of life adjustments, some changes to the sick policy, vacation policy, overtime hours, some of those things that might be fairly easy to address as negotiations continue. But the big thing here seems to be the pension. Now, 35% sounds like a huge raise, and the union acknowledges it is. But they say people have to remember that for the machinists, they basically have had stagnant wages for 15 plus years as the cost of living here in the Pacific Northwest has just exploded with the success of Amazon and other tech companies. Suddenly, the cost to live here is vastly outpacing what a Boeing machinist makes, the union says.
Okay, Kris, thank you. CBS News Money Watch correspondent Kelly O'Grady joins us on set now to talk more about this in her first live shot on CBS News. Welcome. We are so happy to have you. Thank you for making your first live shot on the Daily Report. So let's talk about this. The sticking point for the union being pensions. In this latest proposal, Boeing did offer much higher salaries and a 401k match. Why is that not enough?
So I would say it's two reasons, Lindsay. It's really that emotional component and the financial reality. So look, the union feels cheated. Okay, so their pension was walked back in 2014. They're feeling like they can't make ends meet right now. Like Kris just said, right? Retirement, saving for that is extremely scary. And so just for some context for an employee, a pension equals security. You get those guaranteed payments for the rest of your life. A 401k, though, you have to have the responsibility to save, to manage that retirement. From the company's perspective, though, I mean, 401k is really, really attractive, right? They only have to match a certain amount, and they can change that amount over time. And the pension requires those guaranteed payments. So even if the fund is doing well or it's not, they still have to pay that same amount. It's really costly, and that's exactly why Boeing is walking this back.
How likely is it that the machinists will get the pension plan they want? Were other unions successful in getting that particular part?
So it's very unlikely. Okay. To be honest with you, across the board, employers have really transitioned away from pensions more towards 401ks. And once that's gone, okay, you really don't get that back. And remember, the United Auto Workers strike a year ago at this very same time, they were going for that same thing. It didn't work out for them. And so from a precedent standpoint, it's really not in Boeing's favor. The one thing that I will say, I spoke to a labor relations expert, and he said, okay, Boeing's in trouble right now, so there might be a little bit of wiggle room, right? Their stock is down over 38% for the year. They've had a lot of brand issues with all of the safety concerns, but adding the cost of that pension would be really tough.
All right, so let's talk about the financial situation of Boeing. What is the long-term impact to both Boeing and potentially to consumers?
So for Boeing, right, I mean, this could be hugely impactful. They're losing billions of dollars each day, or rather, over this whole thing. They just lost $6 billion in the quarter. For the consumer, though, not a ton right now. Okay, you could see flight prices go up if this strike goes on for a very long time.
Why is that?
Well, so airlines, right, they wouldn't have new planes coming in.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be able to get that into the rotation. And so they would have to skinny down their flight offerings. The thing that I will say, though, is more costs for Boeing means more costs for the airline. And who does that trickle down to, Lindsay?
Us.
It trickles down to us. And that's where inflation comes in.
Okay. Kelly O'Grady, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing much more of your work.
Of course.